somewhere in the factory. The young man who works at this factory, named Baek Yisu, is receiving a call from someone. It turns out the call came from his brother, who wanted to ask for meat. It looks like Yisu is busy at work. The factory workers are busy with something. It turns out they weren't busy as factory workers, but something more horrific. He immediately confirmed to his brother whether or not he would come to the meeting. But suddenly someone came out of the back door of the truck. A man named Lee Yong-keol, North Korean Force Unit, appears. He looks angry at someone. He had injured one of Yisu's friends. Yisu took off his clothes, and there's seen that he was a military man in camouflage. Baek Yisu, Special Force Unit Leader. It seems like Lee's mission is to finish off Yisu. He then started attacking quickly using a knife. But Lee's quick attack was avoided by Yisu. And he started to counterattack using his right elbow. Lee also suffered a wound on his chin. But Yisu's attacks didn't stop there. When his enemy was stunned, he immediately launched right fist. Yisu's heavy punch attack managed to hit Lee, causing him to fall down. He lost instantly and couldn't stand up anymore. After that, Yisu told his subordinates to treat the newbies and wrap this scene up, because now he had to get out of here. Yisu went somewhere to meet someone. But there he was blocked by the servant, because he was not allowed to enter the room that had been booked. His arrival was continuously rejected, because he didn't trust Yisu to be part of the meeting. Suddenly someone came to them, who turns out to be Yisu's brother. Yisu's brother also explained this, that Yisu was his biological brother and he was part of the meeting. This servant began to apologize for his behavior earlier, because he didn't know about this problem. He started to enter the room. He also understands this, because safety is the main thing. On the other side, Yisu's subordinates were having dinner together. It looks like they are all very enthusiastic about this, because they haven't done this for a long time. They regret that leader Yisu was not present in this event. Can see from afar there are several cars coming. Black car of the same type. They were waiting for who would come. Who turned out to be Sir Manager, their boss. He came here to look for Baek Yisu, who apparently wasn't here. And that makes his job even more difficult. Sir Manager took out a gun from his pocket and started shooting. They were all surprised by this. He received orders to destroy them along with Yisu. On the other side, the twin brothers are having a conversation. He offered to do the work together. Baek Do-kyung is the name of Yisu's brother. He was confused about what he was doing in that construction uniform. He also explained what he was doing now, namely as military aid to civilians. Do-kyung sounded surprised because he had only been a military aid for civilians. It seemed like he didn't want Yisu to do that job anymore. But it makes him comfortable in doing this work. Suddenly someone called Yisu. And he asked Do-kyung to be patient, because he had to answer this phone. He started looking for a quiet place to answer the phone. It turned out it was a call from Cheyenne, but there was something strange about Cheyenne's voice. It looked like he was hiding from something. Currently Cheyenne is being attacked by an armed group, and Yisu's subordinates have all lost. He was surprised to hear that. Unknown armed groups still don't know what they're searching. And the one leading the troops was Manager Gwang. He had betrayed. He also told Cheyenne to hang in, but Yisu was told to run, because they were looking for him. He was shocked by what was said. He started to worry about Cheyenne's condition. Cheyenne's phone call has also been disconnected. Someone was seen entering the place. He also began to meet servants. But the servant forbade him to enter. Without thinking, that mysterious person immediately finished him off. In the room, Do-kyung was seen sleeping. Looks like Yisu has come to that place. It wasn't Yisu, but an unknown armed force who wanted to attack Do-kyung. Armed trained troops who seemed to be targeting Do-kyung. Yisu ran fast. He was worried about Do-kyung's condition. But on the way he met the armed squad. Now their skilled squad will start eliminating Yisu. They started carrying out attacks using knives. But Yisu could anticipate their attack quickly. After anticipating that, he started to deliver powerful uppercuts. Then took the knife from his enemy's hand. Quickly used the knife on his enemy. But they were numerous. A surprise attack came. Yisu managed to avoid the surprise attack from his enemy precisely. After dodging, he immediately caught the enemy's left leg. His face looked scared when he saw Yisu. He started targeting the enemy's legs with the weapon he was holding. Unfortunate incidents occurred. Yisu has succeeded in defeating 2 enemies out of a total 5. And now he will face the remaining enemies. It looked like he was very angry about this incident, which caused him to experience loss and many losses. Simultaneously, the remaining 3 enemies began to attack. With his skill, he managed to fend off the knife attack. Then dodge quickly, can do counterattack. The other also attacked Yisu simultaneously, but he was still able to survive the attack. As a result, his right arm was hit and get an injury. It turned out that other enemies were still hiding, so they carried out a surprise attack from behind. On the other side, it looks like their business is finished here. Manager Guang started asking about Baek Yisu's condition. That a special unit was dealing with him, but for Guang that wasn't enough. What Manager Guang said was true, Yisu managed to beat 1 special unit alone. There he started to worry about the condition of his brother, Dokyeon. On Dokyeon's side, a battle ensued. It turns out he managed to dominate the fight with his own strength. Because of the actions, their dinner was ruined. 1 special unit sent was also successfully defeated by Dokyeon alone. He also heard a voice on the radio saying name Baek Yisu. The sound of a radio message ordering Yisu to finish him. Dokyeon kept getting this message over and over again, until it made him sick. He also cleaned all the remaining spots after the fight. Baek Dokyeon, boss of Taisen Tripartite Organization. Now he was really angry, because he dared to deal with him, especially touch his brother. Yisu started to worry about his brother. He ran quickly to immediately check on his brother's condition. It turned out he was fine, and he started asking about this incident from his relation with Yisu. Finally, the true incident was revealed. Dokyeon was also surprised when he heard this. He could say Yisu is an informant. Yisu is not an ordinary soldier but an informant who went to North Korea on a secret mission. Meanwhile, Dokyeon is not just a gangster, but the boss of Taisen Inc. Now Yisu wants to be dropped off around here. He didn't want to involve his brother in big danger again. But he planned to drop it off somewhere nice. He here looks angry, because Dokyeon looks relaxed and joking. They have reached their destination. He wouldn't just leave his brother in danger. It looks like a funeral has been prepared, they have a good plan. Dokyeon wasn't joking this time, and he was serious about this. Yisu, who saw this, was shocked and didn't know what happened. Secretary Dokyeon has prepared everything necessary. Plans that have been prepared when new incident occur. He still doesn't understand Dokyeon's plan. Unexpectedly, it turns out he has made a scenario about Yisu. Fake condolence news about Yisu. They will give a show to the enemy. Dokyeon learned this from the Yakuza about clearing identities, but Yisu doesn't believe this. That's impossible, the plan will go smoothly. Taisen is known as a much greater organization than is known. But right now they are running a scenario about Yisu. And the scenario still looks smooth at the moment. They need a fragment for this scenario to work 100%. The fragment is a witness who came to this funeral. It seemed that there were more than enough witnesses who came. A black car was seen coming to that place. These witnesses looked confused by the arrival of the unknown car. This person is checking Yisu's biodata, because he has a twin. Baek Dokyeon, a director, but that's not actually the case. It turns out that he is Kwang's manager, that Yisu's brother, Dokyeon, is just a gangster. This witness started knock on the car door. It turned out that there were special forces in the car. They have a mission to open the chest and then check Yisu's condition. They got out of the car. This witness began to see the person coming in inappropriate clothing. Suddenly he immediately attacked the witness. He lost in one attack. They seemed confused by what this strange person was doing. Without thinking, they immediately attacked the strange man. These special forces also attacked them at the same time. They all fight each other. But the witnesses were easily defeated by them. They had all lost to the special forces. They are a special force of Korean spies, who are carrying out a special mission. They immediately went to that place. But Dokyeon's subordinates will prevent them from entering this place. The 1 versus 3 battle soon began. He also emphasized that this was a private grave, and could only be visited by those who were notified. He didn't even listen to the bodyguard's words, and immediately punched him hard. The blow didn't work. This man's name is Ha Jinwon, head of security for Taisen Group. He immediately gripped it tightly. Jinwon is too strong for them to beat. The special forces lost in one strong grip from Jinwon. They who saw this immediately lost their courage. But he still attacked the head of security at the same time. Both of their attacks were easily anticipated. He started to grab his opponent, but the other one attacked him from behind. He also managed to punch Jinwong hard. But that doesn't mean anything. He continued to beat Junwong repeatedly. But it didn't work, and he managed to land a heavy blow on the enemy. After that he immediately grabbed the remaining enemy. But his enemy reacted quickly, and executed a locking movement. He also uses MMA locking techniques. But it didn't work, and he lost physically to Junwong. He fell and was a little dizzy. It didn't take long for a heavy blow attack to hit the enemy. They all lost in the fight against Junwong. Manager Guang, who saw his troops losing, looked angry. His troops were completely useless. He immediately got out of the car and handled this matter. Manager Guang started to greet Junwong. He apologized for the incident and was seen taking something out of his pocket. He gave his business card to the security chief. That this was just a misunderstanding, and he came to offer his condolences. Junwong immediately checked it. And looked at boss Dokyung. He agreed to this, and told him to come in. Junwong invited Guang to come in. He saw a photo of Baek Yisa displayed in that place. He was a little doubtful about what happened to Yisu. Before that, they had talked to each other about Yisu's team being betrayed by manager Guang. Do-kyung suggests that Guang be finished off right then and there, but Yisu refuses. For the manager Guang, let him handle it himself. Now he disguises himself as Do-kyung. He started to take out a weapon. Then told manager Guang to talk elsewhere. Guang was surprised by this. He also asked Guang for an explanation of everything that happened. He asks about who murdered his brother. In his mind, it was true that Yisu had died. Guang also asked to calm down, actually Yisa died on a national mission. He didn't listen to that excuse either, and immediately hit Guang hard. He didn't believe Guang's words. He immediately attacked again using a knife. Guang took something out of his pocket. But suddenly a secretary blocked him. Junwong also told Guang to leave here immediately. He was angry because of this. He left that place. After that incident, everything was safe. They just acted and carried out the plan. But soon this plan will be discovered, and Yisu will have to get out of here. It was true that it all an act, but the blow was really serious. And Yisu will immediately finish off Guang as soon as possible. Do-kyung thinks that if his brother comes out now then it would be stupid. He also suggested that Yisu be in this place for a while. He asked Yisu to hide here and become a gangster. But he didn't seem to want to be a gangster and still left that place. Do-kyung also told Junwong to watch over him, so that Yisu wouldn't do anything unexpected. He left that place, and wanted to go somewhere. But Junwong was there and followed Yisu. He also knew that this would happen. He did this because this was an order from the boss. The number of people who followed was large. From afar, someone could be seen watching them. It turned out that it was Guang's plan. He knew that this was not right. He knew from the previous expression that it looked familiar. Suddenly someone was behind Guang, and he was talking about his daughter being in danger. He also asked that person not to hurt his daughter. Suddenly he grabbed Guang. At that moment he also remembered about his daughter. It looks like the two of them are very close, like the relationship between a father and daughter. On the other side, Do-kyung ran out of cigarettes and wanted to go out to buy, but the secretary refused, and she wanted to buy cigarettes. She didn't allow it because the guard was currently empty because of Yisu, and it was dangerous to go out without an bodyguard. Do-kyung finally had a plan. It turned out he went to buy cigarettes together with the secretary. Because this plan is the best thing to be able to buy cigarettes out. He also asked the guard's permission to go out now. But here Do-kyung felt strange, because this guard was a foreigner. Is this foreign man Guang's subordinate? Suddenly he attacked using a knife, but Do-kyung managed to avoid it. That his suspicions were correct. And now they are both in danger. They were ready to fight. Their opponents seemed to be trained soldiers or special units. The enemy immediately attacked using a knife. Do-kyung managed to avoid the attack using his hands. He immediately responded quickly using the weapon in his left hand. But the attack didn't work. It turned out that the person was wearing protective clothing. He attacked again, but was dodged, and the protective clothing made it difficult for him to fight. Do-kyung immediately used body press on the enemy. But at the same time, Sahu's secretary is in danger. He immediately attacks Sahu with knife. Dokyeon quickly protects Sahu, but at a risk. If this continues, Sahu could be in danger. Dokyeon swiftly launched a knife attack at the enemy. At the same time, the other person immediately attacks Sahu. But this can be prevented by Dokyeon's block speed. Now the situation is turning around, one of them is injured. But he immediately took the knife back. But Sahu managed to prevent that, and kicked the knife. They both fought again. Sahu's success to attack one of the enemies. Meanwhile, Dokyeon managed to anticipate a knife attack from the enemy. The enemy then blocked Dokyeon's attack. He also tried to do a counter-attack but failed. Now Dokyeon will give something serious to the enemy. Can see there is a guard outside the elevator. Dokyeon and Sahu managed to survive the fight. But the guard didn't notice that a foreigner had entered the elevator. Saha looked shocked by something that happened to Dokyeon. He immediately grabbed the guard. It turns out the guard was fake and stabbed Dokyeon. The enemy began to show his true form. Not long after, Dokyeon immediately attacked the mysterious man. But he managed to dodge easily. Dokyeon intends to defeat the man alone and without help. The guard also gave him a knife. He also told Sahu to leave here. And now he prepared to do battle. This man is known as a ghost, because of his mysterious identity. He is one of the special forces. Even Ghost knows about Dokyeon's name. Then he started preparing to carry out his attack using a dagger. He actually asked Dokyeon about Baekhyusu's death. But Ghost attack was blocked with Dokyeon. He kept asking about Yisu's whereabouts, but Dokyeon didn't pay attention. On the other side, Yisu was walking with Junwon. It looked like someone was following behind them. They began to enter a narrow alley. He immediately rushed to catch up. Suddenly there was a fist aimed at him. Junwon punched the man until he flew away. As a result, his hand was broken. Yisu also talked about Gwon, who sent this for him. He was also told to confirm whether Yisu was still alive or not. But he seemed to know the voice. It turns out he is Li Shaon, one of Yisu's subordinates. He also explained to Junwon that he was Yisu's friend. He also apologized to Shaon for not being by their side when danger occurred. And of all of them, only Yisu and Shaon survived. Suddenly they were both shocked when they saw Junwon's reaction. It seemed like something had made him angry. Besides that, their fight still continues. Ghost quickly attacked using a dagger. But Dokyeon managed to anticipate his attack. He also made a counter-attack, but his attack still barely hit the enemy. Their fight still looked fierce, and had not found any gap. But this fight did unfavorable Dokyeon, because he was already injured. His vision began to blur. He had to quickly end the fight. Because of his injured condition, the attack was easily avoided by the ghost. And started wrapping Dokyeon's hand with thread. It seemed like he was planning something. Finally, one fatal slash managed to hit Dokyeon. Now he is really seriously injured, and Ghost will confirm it once again. Then asked where Baekhyusu was. But Dokyeon doesn't just give up, now he will fight it out. He cut his hair, and now confirms that he is Baekhyusu. He was starting to get confused about this. He started to attack. Again, the attack was easily avoided. For him it was impossible that Yisu would be that careless. Unexpectedly, it turned out that the attack was just a trick, and he managed to injure the ghost. Then quickly cut the ghost using a knife. He was immediately seriously injured as a result of the attack. He was angry and tried to get up. Finally he managed to get up and the fight continued. But when the ghost attacked, he quickly countered the attack. Ghost didn't think that he could still explain so well. Dokyeon can be seen imitating Yisu's movements to resemble his brother. But for Ghost that's impossible, now he's not facing real Yisu. Once again, Dokyeon's success to injure Ghost. His attacks were easy to read. He grabbed the Ghost's hand tightly. Then broke his finger with force. Now he was preparing to carry out the final attack. He confirmed that the Ghost can't move anymore. Before the final attack could begin, he had already fallen. This made him truly disbelieving. That the man who faced the Ghost was the real Baekhyusu. Baekhyusu who has good fighting skills. He started to be afraid of this. But now he will end this. Ghost is now completely useless. It looks like he didn't do anything dangerous. He was confused by this. The wound was very serious. The fight ended, and Dokyeon was helpless. Looks like someone has come to this place. It turned out he is Yisu, who was worried about Dokyeon's condition. He started approaching Dokyeon quickly. That the injuries he suffered were very serious. With serious injuries, the ghost runs away, carrying the book. There he believed that his target, namely Baek Yisu, had been defeated. Now Yisu has lost his brother Dokyeon, and he is very sad and angry about this. The next day, they have lost boss Dokyeon, and someone has to replace him now. Junwon has given up because no one can lead this organization anymore, but Sahu will not let this organization be destroyed. She wants Junwon to replace boss Dokyeon. He couldn't hold back his sadness, and for him no one could replace the role of boss Dokyeon. On the other side, Yisu wants to go somewhere, but Cheyenne forbids him. He immediately prevented Yisu from leaving. He seems to know who murderer his brothers, as the scars caused are familiar. They were special forces that Guang employed. Cheyenne also knew about the problem, and now he asked Yisu what he would do. Now Yisu will follow, find, and finish them off, for what they did to his brother. While in another place, a man named Kim Tae-won from One ICT CEO is relaxing. According to him, there are no more profits here, and he will go to Seoul. But he still had business to attend to. It looks like someone is under Taiwan's control. He tried to force that man to tell the truth. Finally, he told them that the Taesan group had been attacked by an unknown group, and currently their boss were disappeared. He was quite shocked when he heard that. But Taewon didn't believe that Dokyeon disappeared, but this man tried to explain, because Taesan group didn't attend the General Assembly. Then Taewon ordered to gather people. It seemed like he intended to finish off the dying Taesan group. He was safe from danger. On the other side, Yisu went to Ma Jongdong's place alone. He went to a butcher's shop. He knew that Guang was likely in this hidden place. These people were also trained by Guang. So he must be careful in his steps and actions. When opened the door, he seemed surprised by something. It turns out that many people have become victims inside. One of his colleagues was also betrayed by Guang. He didn't expect that Yisu was still alive. They were all told to be gathered, then a terrible thing happened. Elsewhere, Cheyenne also checks their hiding place. The same condition occurred, by Guang's betrayal. He tried to tell Yisu. He also emphasized that Guang couldn't be handled by Yisu alone, and told him to still alive. He also told Yisu to run and not to deal with Guang. He also knew the risks he would face. On the other side is where the group Taesan is. Taewon is already there, and he's destroying Taesan's group. He didn't expect that Taesan group's power was so weak. But it looks like Junwon is still standing and will face them. He will destroy anyone who deals with the Taesan group. It's been a week since the Taesan group was attacked by 4 ridiculous gangsters. But he doesn't accept being called a silly gangster. Taewon started to take out a knife. Now Junwon is surrounded by enemies. Now he will face all those people. Because he was fed up with the behavior of these silly gangsters. Suddenly Yisu entered the place. He immediately approached Junwon. He was confused by Yisu's actions. Now Yisu needs an organization to avenge his brother, because he can't do it alone. And he asked Junwon to give the group Taesan to him. Taewon suddenly came over to them, because this was already disturbing. He also tried to get rid of Yisu because he was annoying him. Not long after, he immediately hit Taewon's face hard. He was angry because of this. But when look at it, it looks like Dokyeon. They assumed that the person in front of them is Baek Dokyeon. Yisu immediately beat them all using a knife alone. He ordered the others to attack simultaneously. They also attacked Yisu at the same time. He wouldn't lose so easily. Yisu's speed in fighting can defeat them all in one move. Taewon will now handle this. Yisu brutally finished them off. A sudden attack came from behind. With a quick response, Yisu managed to block Taewon's attack. And now he can't move because the knife has fallen. He thought that Dokyeon was still alive, and still in the Taesan group. This is the true strength of a powerful organization called Taesan. In the end they chose to withdraw, and no longer had anything to do with Taesan. They were relieved that finally the Baek boss had arrived. Junwon also confirmed once again, is it true that Yisu wants to take over Taesan? If he wants Taesan, then there is one way. 1 month passed, they were seen holding a meeting. They also discussed about Baek Dokyeon, who still hasn't appeared. He also wanted Dokyeon to be removed. She also heard that Baek Dokyeon was dead. If the news is true, then this is the end of the group's Taesan. Suddenly someone came to that place. He spoke as if it were him. That now Baek Dokyeon is still alive and is in front of them to say hello. The only way to lead Taesan is to be Baek Dokyeon. Before that, Yisu had already prepared for this. He is being trained by Sahu, so that his actions are similar to Dokyeon, like the position of the knife. That kind of thing will definitely realize they are not an ordinary group. Yisu's enemy is the General Assembly. It's called a meeting of the biggest criminal gang in Seoul. The meeting was to prevent gang wars and form cooperation, but in reality it wasn't. Because they were waiting for an opportunity to benefit themselves, and Sahu warned Yisu to be careful. She himself wasn't sure why they had to protect the Taesan group. Because Yisu needs Taesan right now. He needs a gang for revenge, bigger and stronger than the others. He needed the Taesan and General Assembly to obey his orders. Somewhere unknown place. This person praises Gwon for doing a good job. That person was named Cho Wonho, Seoul Police Chief. Wonho admires Gwon for doing his dirty work for goodness. Because Gwang's still a lot of trouble, and he had to spend a lot to clean up Gwang's mess. But Wonho still thought that Gwang couldn't get rid of some important people. Wonho also scolded him because he couldn't destroy the group's Taesan. Suddenly he immediately took the badge from Wonho. Because he has to know who the boss is. He threw away the badge because he knew that now there were many people who could replace Wonho. The guard also looked angry about that. But Gwang managed to slam the guard. After that, he immediately kicked the guard hard. They were shocked by that. The gun was pointed at Wonho. He was also afraid because of the threat from Gwang. Currently, Gwang has done something dirty because he has something bad to his own subordinate. It looked like Wonho was going to free someone because he knew some people from General Assembly. And it seems like he also wants something from Wonho. Now he wants to meet Baek Dokyeon. They were shocked by Dokyeon's sudden appearance. Previously he knew that the number of members was not many. But they had formed a good relationship, and he already knew what to do. Yisu knew that he had to solve this problem like Dokyeon did. Cha Yunhwa almost didn't recognize Dokyeon because he had gotten a haircut. Ryu also thinks Dokyeon is dead because he almost never shows up at meetings. They will tell all the details that happened while Dokyeon was away. Han Hae-sung knew that Dokyeon's brother had died. Maybe that was the cause. Even the funeral was crazy. There was a knife fight. And now they will clarify the details of all these meetings. The details are, is Dokyeon still worthy to sit at this table? Hearing that, he immediately regretted it, because when he was sad, no one helped or even visited him. Suddenly he stabbed a knife in the table. Dokyeon knows the purpose of this conversation. They intend to underestimate of Taesan. But Hae-sung doesn't think like that, and Dokyeon's actions have gone too far. He went straight to the point and said the conditions for Taesan. The condition is that, from now on, the Taesan group will no longer attend General Assembly meeting. After attending the meeting, they returned. They will return to Taesan. Junwang also wants to know Yisu's plans, because General Assembly is Taesan's enemy. He thought about it a little. Suddenly a car came towards them. He was shocked about it. But fortunately they were safe from this incident. Cheyenne immediately scolded the driver. But their car was already surrounded by many cars. They got out of the car, and it turned out it's a Ryu. He seemed angry about it, because Dokyeon had been talking nonsense at the meeting. He immediately punched the car window. The glass broke as a result of that. They were both shocked by what that person did. He will also talk to Dokyeon. Ryu asks Dokyeon to bring Taesan to him now. Cheyenne is also worried about the boss's condition. Yisu realized that there were rats infiltrating the General Assembly, and he was finally lured out. Ryu also told Dokyeon to come out, but he didn't want. Ryu Taehyung is the person who has most problems with Taesan group. Moreover, he is a very disgusting person. Yisu also suspects that Ryu is a rat at the General Assembly. Cheyenne scolded them for daring to damage the back door of their car. He interrupted, saying that it was none of his business. Finally Cheyenne got out of the car and criticized Ryu's words. He liked Cheyenne's courage in criticizing Ryu, and asked him to join the group. But something like that might not happen. Ryu suddenly threw a fist at Cheyenne. He was also hit hard in the face. Amazingly, he managed to block a blow from Ryu. He is increasingly challenged by this, because Dokyun's subordinates also have strengths. Suddenly a convoy of cars walked in that direction. Ryu seemed to know who these people were. He is Lee Sungman, he told Ryu to stop what he was doing. If those words came from Lee, then he would stop doing this. Ryu also said that this was a party for the General Assembly, he invited Lee to participate. Suddenly someone tapped Ryu's shoulder. It turns out he is Choi Chanho from Gudo, just like Lee. Cheyenne seemed to know the grandfather, and Junwon told him that he was Gudo's elite. Yilhak is the highest organization in Seoul, and what made it all happen is the 9 Yilhak elites. Cheyenne just found out that gangsters also have cool stories. It seemed like this was true, as seen from their faces. For Choi, in this era young people are very weak. It will be difficult for Ryu to deal with Gudo, but he won't let Tae-san fall to Gudo. Junwon got out of the car and greeted Grandpa Chanho. They also knew each other well, and that surprised Ryu. Lee talks about the group Tae-san invited to their guests, and Ryu seems to agree. Chanho told the two of them to go first, because he wanted to chat with Junwon. They talked about Tae-san left out the General Assembly. Dokyun got fed up because they were talking about classification. Yisu knew Lee meant that Lee actually had something to say to him. That the General Assembly becomes a place for checking and competition between organizations, so it provides the strength to survive. Then Lee will speak truly to Dokyun now. That he now still needs power. Chanho invited Junwon to join Yilhak, but Junwon chose to stay at Tae-san. He knows that Junwon has a past with Gudo, and he still has a place there. For him Tae-san is his organization, and there are also problems he has to solve. Chanho also regrets this, because there is no longer any hope in Tae-san. Chanho tells Junwon that Tae-san group will be destroyed today. On the other side, someone arrives. He's one of the Gudo elite. Which turned out that the Gudo elite had surrounded Dokyun. Dokyun thinks that this is too much, but for Lee this has to be done. It seemed like he had just realized something. That actually the rat at the General Assembly was Lee from Gudo. Dokyun also told Cheyenne to restrain Lee. Guard Lee didn't accept that. He also punched the guard. The guard fell in one attack. Dokyun was seen getting out of the car. For him just 1 minute was enough to clear all this up. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ryu regretted Lee's actions. The guard was also curious about Gudo's power. For him, they now had many subordinates, and could take advantage of this situation. Ryu immediately hit his subordinates, because the strength of his guard was very weak. In the past, Seoul became one because of the power of Yilhak. Ryu also said that Yilhak had 9 swords, and only 3 people could destroy the gangbuk area. There are 9 of them, and he only needs 3 people to destroy an area. For Ryu only a stupid people would fight Gudo's 9 swords. But if anyone dares to challenge or attack the 9 swords of Gudo, then what is certain that he is the strongest person in Seoul now. One of the higher-ups was blown away by Yisu's punch. He took a lot of damage because of that. Yisu won't let them all do as they with Tae-san. Now Yisu has come to them, and today Yilhak will collapse. Lee was also curious about the situation outside. But the knife prevented him from seeing. Cheyenne also did his job, holding Lee in the car. He was worried about this situation. But it seemed like Yisu's punch didn't work on him. They also seemed to be joking about this and not taking the fight seriously. He looks fine, but maybe they'll just watch. Suddenly a surprise attack came towards Yisu. But the attack was blocked by him easily. Yisu was attacked from 2 directions, and he tried to avoid the attacks. They immediately grabbed their clothes. With a strong blow, Kwon launched an attack towards Yisu. Further attacks coming him. Kyu-chang managed to kick Yisu so hard that he went flying. But he managed to block with his left hand. Then Jang attacked when Yisu wasn't ready. With fast response and speed, Yisu managed to avoid the fatal incident. To him they were all strong and good at attacking. He thought about defeating the biggest one first. If he manages to take down the big one, then Yisu can beat the rest. He was injured by the hard blow. He helped his friend, and thought he was too old to fight. He immediately got up. They kept attacking, but Yisu was able to avoid it. They also pulled Yisu's clothes. And started turning his back and holding his head. Isuan punched firmly towards Yisu. Cheyenne was surprised by the teamwork of the Gudo elite. Currently Dokyun is facing Gudo's 9 swords. Meanwhile, on the other side, Junwang lost the fight against Chanho. For him, when fighting, Junwang daydreams too much. Cheyenne got out of the car and told Lee to be quiet. For Lee, it's useless to help Dokyeon now. But he won't help his bosses, they just don't know they're dealing with a monster. Lee was confused by Cheyenne's words. The monster's meaning in those words, they will all be defeated in an instant. But a surprise attacks always come when Yisa finishes a turn. It seems like this person is the strongest of the others. They immediately came and attacked. But Cheyenne quickly came to kick them. It seemed to them that the boy wanted to try. He shouldn't have come, but he was curious about Gudo's strength. Then a big fist approached Yisu. But with his fighting technique, he managed to anticipate the attack. They were shocked by the strength of Boss Taeson's fighting techniques. As a result, this man's joints were broken. They did not remain silent and started attacking. An upper leg kick attack approached Yisu. He immediately blocked the kick with his hands. But suddenly while fighting he remembered Guang, who taught him this technique. Strong people have good physique, so they will never fall. At the same time the hands or feet must be pulled and tied so that they do not move. In that practice he felt pain because of the technique. Guang taught Yisu all the fighting techniques. Because of this technique he can defeat his enemies easily. He admits that Dokyeon is a monster. Lee was shocked when he saw them all having difficulty dealing with Dokyeon. He didn't think it would be difficult to face Tae-san. Previously he met someone and said that Dokyeon not good at fighting. And if there a big problem, Dokyeon's younger brother always intervenes. He was also helpless against Dokyeon. He thought this fight was very senseless, then Dokyeon launched a powerful attack. Suddenly someone told to stop. Those words came from Lee. Dokyeon finally stopped hitting. He hit Dokyeon on the shoulder. Lee knew that what was in front of him was not Baek Dokyeon, but Baek Yisu. Lee knows he is Baek Yisu, not Baek Dokyeon, as seen from his fighting style and aggressive attitude. But he still lowered his intention to finish off Lee. But suddenly he wanted to invite Yisu to negotiate. He was confused about what the negotiations meant. Tae-san and Gudo groups will also discuss the negotiations. He admitted defeat and also admitted that this time they were a little careless. Chanho is curious about how strong Baek Dokyeon now. In fact he was indeed the strongest of them all. He also talked about what kind of negotiations they wanted. Junwang and Cheyenne also listened. From a distance Chanho looks fine. It turns out that Junwang actually lost the fight against Chanho. It seems like Junwang doesn't like losing. It turns out they got a request to destroy Tae-san. They also listened carefully to Lee's words. And who gave them the order is in the dossier. They will also provide dossier information regarding organizations targeting Tae-san. But in exchange, he wants Tae-san to become Yilhak's ally. But he refused, arguing that there was no point in them giving this information, while Tae-san himself could destroy them in Yilhak. Chanho was provoked by Dokyeon's words. Junwang immediately stopped Dokyeon's steps. According to him, this is an opportunity for them, because it can build trust in Yilhak. But he was fed up with all this. To him Yilhak were just a bunch of bad thugs. The trust they built was not worth, compared killing brothers and his colleagues. Cheyenne calmed them both down. Lee offers Yisu to check it first. Because for Lee, his offer was not a bad thing, but for Yisu it's just a piece of paper and don't believe them. But Lee reminds to be careful what Yisu says, because this file is the only one. But he still insists on destroying Yilhak now. Junwang tries to stop him. Yisu doesn't trust a traitor rat like Yilhak at all. He wants this negotiation to end, and he tells Yilhak to do what Yisu says. Collaboration is still carried out, but there are things must be agreed upon. He wants Yilhak's CEO, Lee, to be held hostage. They were angry when heard those words. Chanho told Gudo Elite not to move. For Chanho, Dokyeon is too much in this case. He wanted a change of hostage, and chose himself to be the hostage. For him, does Chanho's life matter if he is held hostage? He immediately informed him of this. That Chanho of Elite Gudo is the same as the body of Yilhak. So it's not a problem if take Chanho as a hostage. Yisu doesn't like being given direction by Junwang, but he here insists on seeing it from Baek Dokyeon's point of view. He finally understood the current situation. He told Cheyenne to look after Chanho from now on. Back in the past, at that time Yisu was detained by the government to be asked for investigative information.
Kim Jae-wak, Lieutenant Colonel, discussed the mission that Yisu carried out.
He also refused to answer because this mission was secret. Then Kim asked Yisu to tell him who his boss was and the location of the unit.
He still refused to tell because this mission was secret.
But here Kim emphasized that he had to obey his request, because Yisu was currently just a dog who had to obey his master's words.
But suddenly someone entered the room.
It turned out he was Major Guang from the Central Intelligence Special Forces. He asked about the whereabouts of his subordinate who were here. They talked, then considered Yisu to be an intruder. But for Guang it was all just a misunderstanding. He still insists that Yisu is not an intruder and will take him. He also took Yisu, and Kim didn't accept that. They ordered their subordinates to arrest them. But when he walked out the door, his subordinates had already lost.
They immediately returned to the unit. Yisu's friends were waiting and picking up his return. But all that is now just a memory. He couldn't forget all those things. Junwon came in and reported that Cheyenne was watching Chanho.
Yisu appreciates Junwon's good work. Here he also wants to tell Yisu something. He started pulling Yisu's clothes and judged that Yisu was unfit to lead Tae-san.
That he couldn't replace Baek Do-kyun's role.
Meanwhile, on the other hand, Chanho was on the phone with someone. He chats with Lee, and admits that it was his fault for being careless.
He understands this, because this is also an independent action from the organization.
For him the results were not satisfying, but this action was not so bad. They ended the conversation.
After calling, they talked to each other. Cheyenne said, even if Chanho was caught because of his boss actions, what if Tae-san hurt him?
He was prepared to accept whatever the consequences were. But in the end Chanho seemed to be thrown away like trash.
But for Chanho, Tae-san is not that kind of organization.
He also listened to the words. But on the other side, Yisu did not accept Junwon's actions, telling him to resign as leader. For him the decision is right, by placing Yilhak in their hands. Junwon says there is something wrong with Yisu's methods, and that he should be Baek Do-kyun.
Method with a sense of trust with leader Baek Do-kyun,
Yisu should show that. According to him, so far his methods have been considered wrong and like children at previous meetings. Yisu wants to forcefully change gangster methods here, but Junwon doesn't accept that. It seems like Yisu's words are like a child's joke, and should be removed. Yisu immediately attacked Junwon using knees. But the attack was blocked with his hands.
Junwon also made a counter-attack by dropping Yisu down.
But at the same time, he managed to kick Junwon's face with his foot.
The kick sent him flying far away. He started to get up from there. It appears that the blow only resulted in a small bruise.
On the other hand, they discuss gangsters. That gangsters are people who live based on their own fists and pride, they also gather for the same interests. He also wants to have people he trusts and follows him. At the same time, their fight ended with Yisu's victory. He admitted that he was wrong in this matter.
Yisu went out of the room. There should be another way to solve this. They get into fights because of different methods. Chanho also said that every method does not always lead to power. If it leads to power then it is called military. Cheyenne's phone rang. He also left Chanho alone there.
He knew that Chanho wouldn't run away, and now he would follow his confidant.
There Yisu was waiting. From now on, they will do it their way. Create a new organization, with talented people. Cheyenne was told to meet the chosen people. Because they are professional people.
Then they will also do it in a professional way.
The deadline is a week, organize the general meeting within the deadline.
Besides that, it looks like Junwon is thinking about something.
He remembered his life 4 years ago.
At that time, Do-kyun came to his place just to eat, because he was a loyal customer. Smoking is actually not allowed in restaurants, but it has become a habit for Do-kyun. They must also be loyal customers at this restaurant.
Junwon tells Do-kyun to leave.
Suddenly one of them came to that place. They heard the news that someone was crazy in this place. This person's name is Lee Hyung-gu, he is the leader of Hook-ilsu, an organization under the Geolang Association.
Do-kyun then said that gangsters shouldn't come to this place.
Hyung thinks that Do-kyun is crazy, and he will get something from him soon. He casually held Hyung's hand. And suddenly something bad happened. Do-kyun has done something bad to the leader of the organization. He didn't care what he did, because he was a Tae-san. They panicked and told their boss to go to the hospital. For Junwang, dealing with Geolang people is pointless, but Dokyun thinks the reason Junwang built a restaurant here is to deal with them. There's a lot of dust in this place, then it looks like there's no menu here. Dokyun thinks that Junwang just wants to beat up gangsters, and he came here just to help. He also reminded him how dangerous the enemy was, but Dokyun didn't care. Hearing Dokyun's words, he immediately gave him a hair tie. That's when the first meet between Junwang and Dokyun. In another, Hyung is terrible about this. Because of Taesan's actions, his hands became like this. Then now he is determined to take revenge on Taesan. For him, Taesan is currently weakened, because left the General Assembly, and it is time for them to act. They were preparing to attack Taesan now. But there was a commotion outside the room. Someone forced their way into the room. They were shocked. The person was big, and looked strong. The mysterious man is named Boris. Previously he worked as a laborer in a factory. At that time the boss said who did writing on the wall. He also ordered Boris to find the person of the graffiti. Yisu and Cheyenne are seen talking about Boris. Boris is currently not going to Russia, but hiding as a laborer. It looks like someone opened the door. There he saw his target and immediately attacked Yisu. He wants Boris to work with him. Suddenly the attack stopped, and Yisu gave him a flash disc, saying that he had come to bargain. He also seemed interested in Yisu's offer, an offer in the form of a traitor who has caused Boris trouble. Boris is a demon who wears human skin. And now he came to the Hook Ilsu organization alone. Hyung ordered his subordinates to beat the man, because he was disturbing. They immediately launched an attack. But Boris aims the gun at them. He immediately hit his opponent hard. He lost in one attack. When the others tried to fight, Boris immediately relied on his gun. Then he admitted that a lot of people here were stupid. Boris suddenly powerfully launched a left fist attack. Seeing this, they attacked Boris together. They managed to hold it stringly. They are trying hard to lock Boris's movement. But in conditions like that he managed to free himself, then bit and tried to slam. The enemy falls in one powerful slam attack. He took a knife and prepared to do something bad. A terrible incident occurred. All humans have demons to hide their weaknesses. Then he started dealing with Hyung. Boris also wanted to see whether there was a demon inside that person. Suddenly Cheyenne came and told Boris to stop. He just stopped and didn't do anything excessive. Hyung also wanted to know the purpose of their visit and who sent it. Cheyenne says that they are from Taesan. Cheyenne tells Yisu that the leader Hook Ilsa from Geolang succeeded in their hands. For him, Boris is crazy about his Russian methods. Yisu also received all the good news in another place. Yisu explains his whereabouts and about the Iron Weasel, that this person only works for money. For Cheyenne, the Iron Weasel is a capitalist. Suddenly while monitoring, this person quickly attacked Yisu. Yisu managed to stop the person's attack. He wanted to know Yisu's identity, and who had sent him. This young man named Lim Kyung-chung, 17 years old, with the nickname Iron Weasel. He was too young, but his fighting skills were above average. Lim then attacked Yisu quickly using a cutter knife. Yisu could still anticipate the attack, but the attack didn't stop there. As a result, the knife Yisu was using bounced off. He also called Lim a weasel, because he hadn't seen him for a long time. He was confused why Yisu knew him. Even though he was very confident, he had finished anyone he knew, colleagues or leader. 3 years ago, Geolang Industrial Complex. He is Li Hu-chang, Major General of the Reconnaissance Bureau. They are all in military education. Geolang Industrial Complex, where North and South unite to generate for profits. They were troops from the North who were tired of capitalism. Southerners viewed them as open harbors. Northerners only make products about capitalism. They doesn't want to stay below, and they will continue to crawl up. To become a wild animal that can bite anyone, a special title Sojak Jebi. His mission was to work for the industrial complex during the day, and train southern agents at night. But there was a mission he ignored. That uncle gave him chocolate. His favorite chocolate cake in large quantities. Lim really liked this chocolate cake, and ate it with gusto. 2 years later their development continues to increase. The Major's plan to immediately carry out a mission for them. He wants them to go on a mission this week. The superior told them to send it this week. Uncle Azbai looks like he's having trouble with something.
But he was already excited about the chocolate cake he would receive when the work was finished. Lim also ate the chocolate cake deliciously during the day. In the evening he also enjoyed the chocolate cake. They will soon infiltrate using the truck. But first they have to get rid of this truck driver. He was surprised why the truck driver had to be involved. They were arguing, and didn't have much time for this. Not long after, Lim immediately attacked his colleague using a knife. They were all shocked by Lim's actions. He also talked to his colleagues about finding another way out of this problem. Can see someone opening the door. Lim asked Uncle Isbai for a lift to the south. It looks like they've all lost to Lim. Major Lee also betrayed them. He's disguised as Major Lee, and has defeated them all. Which turned out he is Yisu, while on an undercover mission. He was shocked by what he saw. Yisu also completed his mission perfectly. And now, Lim can't do much about Yisu. Yisu came to Lim intending to make an offer. He also wanted to know about the deal being offered. At the Red Crown Hotel Geolang. He was angry with his subordinates. Because it was already half-day, 3 hotels were suspended. Ryu was very angry and was going to take care of this problem, but suddenly someone came. He reported that the Hanam Dong organization had been defeated by Tae-san. Finally, Ryu immediately went to Tae-san and resolved this problem. This person is seen mocking a group of gangsters. They also heard the person's word. He also heard screams. He beat one of the Geolang members. Suddenly a surprise attack launched to the man. Ryu's attack managed to hit him greatly. But apparently his attack missed and was blocked by Gwang. Gwang knows that Ryu is having problems with the hotel business. Ryu's business problems can be solved if he wants to sit relaxed here. He knew that the problem regarding the hotel suspension was their doing, and now he wanted to know the reason. The person turned out he is a ghost, and he laughed when he heard that. He assumed that the gangsters would be destroyed if they dealt with him. Ryu didn't accept that, and Gwang confirmed it. Why he coming here? A request where the Geolang has begged to them. Ryu felt insulted by Gwang's words, because why did Geolang have to beg them? He knew that Geolang was running a business in the form of food stalls and hotels in the Yongsan area. But still, to them, the Geolangs are just village people. The armed hunters approached a pack of wolves named Geolang. They are different from amateurs, and think that they are professionals. Those who heard Geolang was an amateur felt angry, and for Ryu this is a call to war. For Gwang, fighting is just a waste of time, and he invites Ryu into business. He also gave Ryu a file containing the contents of business. After reading it, according to Ryu, the proposal regarding the One Sync project was too good for him. He doesn't believe this proposal, because Ryu thinks this offer is too good. For Gwang, this is business, and they will provide the workforce, because they are professionals. But it looks like Ryu is rip up the proposal. For him, Geolang needs trust for business, and the first step is they want to see how good the professional is. On the other side, Cheyenne is trying to contact someone. He also called Yisu because he couldn't contact the person. Yisu also told Cheyenne to just wait for an answer, because the Iron Weasel was already beside him, and they would act immediately. They also met gangsters. Lim was ready to put up a fight. A quick attack approached them. Lim managed to injure them with his fast attack. They success to defeat the gangster easily. Cheyenne knows the skill of the Iron Weasel is very good, but he is still very young. For Yisu it doesn't matter, because now they need a pro squad. But when he opened the door, a surprise attack came. An attack came from the enemy, but he managed to avoid it. He immediately grabbed the enemy's hand. Enemy was defeated, and they entered the gangster's base. They are people from Geolang Gangster. Those who saw Yisu coming immediately attacked. And it looks like Cheyenne has met the deadline. He will do whatever he is told, that's why he is called an errand boy. While the call was going on, he was defeating the enemy. And the Iron Weasel will do anything for money. Yisu invites Lim to move on, because he doesn't want to get involved with Geolang. His mission was simply to destroy as many affiliated organizations as possible. They hurried to move forward. Again a sudden attack came to Yisu. But he easily managed to stop the axe throw. Yisu suspected that their movement was faster than expected. One of the leaders of the affiliated organization who did this. He assumed that Yisu's arrival was for investigation. Lim quickly attacked the leader. But his 2 bodyguards swiftly blocked Lim's attack. They with good teamwork attacked him. With a quick response, Lim managed to avoid it.
He knew that they were professionals, and Yahello guessed that they were military men. They are a pro who sides with Geolang. He was relieved because Boss Ryu sent them directly here. Then on the other side, these pro people are already in Taesan. They told Yahello that currently the group's Taesan was in danger. Yahello assumed that Guang had involved Geolang in the One-Sing project. Lim asked Yahello to pay twice as much, because he would fight this professional. He wasn't curious about them, but Lim tried to test their abilities. Whether he can defeat this pro enemy. His fast movements succeeded in diverting the enemy's view. After holding the enemy's hand, he began to take out the cutter to attack. With a quick attack, he managed to defeat the pro. The attacks were still continuing, and he was prepared for this. The enemy uses surprise attacks. But Lim with his small body managed to avoid it and immediately attacked. Then with a cutter slash, succeeded to defeat the pro enemy. Lim had opened the way, and told Yahello to go. He'll take care of the enemy here, and let Yahello go. Even he, who is a leader, is just afraid. He hurried immediately run to Taesan. Besides that, he thought about Guang who had collaborated with Geolang, and that was unexpected. But when Yahello was rushing to Taesan's place, the enemy was seen blocking. He was being blocked by a professional among. These professionals are already in Taesan. Ghost doesn't believe this, that they really have to be involved in gangster business. He also seemed to know that Yahello was still alive, and that bothered him. Guang also advised Ghost that he should be more careful in checking. If Ghost had brought the body at that time, then this would not have happened. He finally realized his mistake. That at that time he really made a mistake. Guang will immediately solve this problem quickly. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yahello seems to be having difficulty facing his enemy. His enemy this time is also a professional. He knew that it was Guang who had sent them. Now the situation is getting more difficult, and the enemy immediately attacks Yahello. Previously, he was a military trained. Someone who can work on any battlefield. He joined the United States Special Operations Command, called SOCOM. He can complete any mission well and cleanly. And now, this dangerous opponent will face Yahello. They were ready to attack each other. His left hand was holding a crowbar, targeting his enemy's weakest point. He started shock lights. This disturbed Yahello's vision. His vision became blurry. He aimed his headlights at Yahello. A quick attack happened, but he was still able to block the attack. But the knife he using to hold was broken, and his hand was injured. His hand had a broken bone. He's really talented, and now Yahello has to be careful. On the other side, Taesan's headquarters. Member Taesan is facing an enemy. Geolang has invaded the Taesan group. Taesan members seem to be having a hard time dealing with them, and the boss can't be contacted. Taesan members were completely wiped out by Geolang. Looks like one of the professionals will be involved in this fight. Taesan are trying to survive the onslaught of Geolang. Suddenly this person was defeated in one attack. He looked down on those gangsters, being too weak. He also ordered the Geolang troops to rampage in Taesan. Taesan, who was not being led, surely panic in fighting. Suddenly an unexpected attack coming. It turns out he is an elite Gudo who is being held in Taesan. Chanho comes to help, because his friend Junwon asked him to protect Taesan. The Geolangs were confused, why elite Gudo in Taesan? He immediately noticed, why there Yilhak beside Taesan. Chanho knew that person was not a gangster. And the day was their first meet. Then now Choi Chanho, one of Gudo's elite, will be beside Taesan to finish this. It looks like Chanho managed to beat everyone alone. They are still confused about Yilhak's involvement with Taesan. But now all that doesn't matter, because he will end this. Chanho was already prepared for that person and immediately fought. A quick attack launched, using an uppercut. Punch attacks continued to be carried out on Chanho. And now he is immediately finishing. A fast and strong attack was launched, hitting Chanho's stomach. It was seen that as a result of the attack, he became helpless. This person is named Park Chang-hoon, head of One-Sing's Special Operations Team. On the other side, Yahello still couldn't find a gap to attack. He spent a lot of time here. He doesn't have much time, because Taesan is under attack. The attack occurred again. Now he used a motorbike as an attack. Yahello quickly managed to avoid the attack. And now he will aim for the motorbike side. But when it almost happened, he immediately stepped on the gas hard.
Yisu really had a hard time dealing with it. He immediately returned to attack. He quickly speeding his motorbike to attack.
When he was in front of Yisu, he braked while swinging the crowbar.
Quickly stomped the crowbar. It turned out, it's just a trick move, so that the motorbike's wheel attack could trick Yisu.
He also suffered injuries as a result of this. Because of this person's arrival, and Guang's movements, Yisu's plans were thrown into disarray. He also tried to calm down in this fight and analyze. He started playing tricks again, by making smoke from the friction of motorbike tires.
Yisu's vision became blur. He blocked the view using smoke. Yisu couldn't see the enemy, and now he would guess the direction attack was coming from. Suddenly someone approached their fight. This shocked Yisu, because why was he here? Junwang comes to help Yisu fight. On the other side, it looks like the fight isn't over yet. Chanho was still able to get up, and also seemed to be fine.
Park was confused by the hard body of that gangster old man.
A surprise attack coming.
Park managed to avoid Chanho's punch. Oldman's speed was unreasonable, then Park started to take out his main weapon.
At the same time, Chanho continued to press forward with attacks.
Finally, with a heavy blow, he managed to hit Park hard. But he could still endure the pain.
Park began to take out knives to attack.
Park's attack was blocked, then Chanho threw a hard punch. Then grabbed Park's head.
This man underestimated gangsters too much, that's why he lost the fight. Chanho confirmed that even though they had an alias with Geolang, they still wouldn't be able to beat him.
But Park still tried to fight. Firmly, he managed to hold the knife.
Gloves made from Kevlar, for Chanho gangsters have their own way to fighting. For family, friends and organizations.
The heavy blow once again hit Park hard. Park also lost against Chanho in a duel. For him, this obstacle was still very easy. Meanwhile, on Yisu's side, he still felt pain in his hand. Yisu is also worried about Taesan's condition, but Junwang tries to calm down.
Because now in Taesan, there are people who will not lose, like iron that cannot be dropped.
Yisu talks about the enemy being a professional, but Junwang thinks it's normal. The most important thing now was the enemy in front of them.
He began to face the enemy with a plan. The enemy immediately attacked quickly. Junwang prepares to block attacks from the enemy.
The enemy with a motorbike and a crowbar, while Junwang is barehanded. Besides that, he remembered Dokyun's words about getting involved in a friend's fight. Therefore he will help Yisu as a friend.
Junwang launched a strong punch at the motorbike.
As a result of the strong blow, his opponent was thrown off the motorbike.
Finally the enemy was successfully taken down from the motorbike. Now Junwang is using Dokyun's method.
Dokyun's method is very wild and free, but cares about a friend. For him, sometimes he has to become a Baek Dokyun himself.